This is our lead story. eNCA can now reveal the original source of the firearms missing from the Norwood Police Station store. 4 of them have been found in the hands of criminals in 2 separate crime scenes in Gauteng and the North West. A police officer was killed during an incident in Brakpan in Ekurhuleni last month. Senior reporter Barry Bateman has this exclusive for us and is joining us now from our newsroom here in Hyde Park. Good afternoon, Barry. Yesterday, Barry, we learned that firearms were linked to the Norwood Police store. What do we know now about the origin? Where did they come from?
Yeah, good afternoon, Dan. And this story goes back to 2014. There was a massive raid on an arms cache, ironically, behind the Norwood Police Station, where the police arrested 2 Ukrainian nationals, a husband and a wife, as well as their domestic worker. And they were found in possession of about 300 firearms. There were about a couple of dozen rifles, including R1, R4, R5s, and the rest were handguns. These are the firearms that were taken into the Norwood store. They were sent away for ballistic testing at some point and returned to the police station. It's these firearms that we understand now have made their way into the hands of criminals. As I reported yesterday, the firearms were found at 2 separate crime scenes. The one at a cash and transit heist, a failed cash and transit heist in Moinoi in the northwest. The other at a big shootout in Brakpan, where a police officer was killed when the police pounced on this gang of would-be cash and transit heists. Now, the evidence that had been gathered there was related to the ballistics information. So when those firearms were sent away for ballistic testing in 2014, they would have had some markings or something that tied them to the Norwood Police Station. That is the evidence that had been gathered that tied us back to the Norwood Police Station. And now we understand the next link that they've made is the fact that these firearms were in fact part of that massive cache seized in 2014. The question now is, Dan, why were these firearms not destroyed? This is 6 years ago. We understand that the case against the couple that were arrested has been withdrawn. They're now sitting, these firearms, we also don't know how many are actually out on the streets.
Yeah, I was just about to say, how many arms are we really talking about? How many guns do we know that are really missing? And where are they? Are they just in the streets, in the hands of criminals?
You know, that is the question, Dan. The firearms that were seized at that cache in 2014, there were about 300 of them. As I told you, there were rifles. Some of them, and I've been looking back on the reports from the period, some of those firearms were handed in at the police station as far back as 2009 as part of the police's amnesty efforts, the first round of amnesty at that particular time. So civilians who want to find themselves on the right side of the law, handing their firearms into the SAPS, these are some of the firearms that have ended up back out into the streets in the hands of criminals. On the number, that is the problem. We just don't know. And that is why a very senior team of Hawks officials is at the Norwood Police Station as we speak right now. I was there yesterday and the day before. I've seen them there. They are trying to conduct an audit of the SAPS 13 store at the Norwood Police Station because they simply don't know how many firearms are missing, but it could be up to 300, possibly more.
Yeah, so you said the Hawks are on site doing an audit. You were there, you saw them. Did you get a chance to speak to any of them at all? And if so, Barry, what did they say? What are the Hawks saying about this? Or are they still mum at this stage until they are done with their audit?
Well, you just said it right there. That's the official line, Dan. The police are saying that, the Hawks are saying that it's at a very sensitive stage of their investigation. They cannot disclose much at this stage. They will do so at an appropriate time in the future once they have managed to put together the case. But we do know, so that might be the official position. We do know there is an intensive investigation, some very senior Hawks officials appointed that are trying to track and trace these firearms and to do that audit to find out exactly what is missing because we don't know the extent of this problem that we're sitting with.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this just before I came on air now at the start of All Angles at midday. I saw a statement by the opposition party, the DA, because of what you have discovered there in the Norwood Police Station with his firearms. The DA is now demanding a national missing firearms audit in the hands of the police. So this story still got a lot of legs to go. You were saying, Barry?
Yes, Dan. I was speaking to Paul Oxley from Gun Owners South Africa yesterday, and he made the point. He says, What's unique about Norwood Police Station? The concern is that this might have been happening at various other police stations. It's just that in this particular instance, whoever was doing it was found out. So that call by the Democratic Alliance for a national audit of the SAPS stores, and I also understand this is not the first time that there have been calls for a national audit, because the state of the SAPS stores is in such a shambles, such as many other administration aspects of the SAPS. But in this case, there are certainly deadly consequences. There are missing firearms, and now we know that there are some of those out on the street.
Yeah, and in the Norwood Police Station case, 6 years later, not yet destroyed. One wonders what has happened there. Thank you very much, Barry Bateman there, our senior reporter, with that exclusive story that's developing. Of course, we'll keep tabs on that while the Hawks are busy with their audit. I also understand that the Police Minister, Barry Bateman, is going to be live here on eNCA with my colleague Masigo Ratlaga after 4 o'clock this afternoon. I am sure that Masigo will ask the Police Minister about this challenge, this headache of missing guns that are in the hands of the police, supposed to be destroyed, but they end up making their way back into the hands of criminals. Not a good situation at all. Now,